What's going on, everyone? It's me, Sade Burrell, stand for something. So I wanted to make a video because I completed my first quarter of summer school. I am in a system where we go by quarters as opposed to going through semesters. So semesters are typically 16 weeks, quarters are typically 10 weeks. So we get a lot of work done in a shorter amount of time. And I would say this, I was worried about the quarter system because I've never been on the quarter system. I've always been on the semester system, but in the quarter you get the work and you go. You got to do it. The thing with a quarter system is that if you fall behind, you fall behind. It reminds me of a 100-meter race. In a 100-meter race, if you mess up in the beginning, it is hard to make up those next few steps so that you can have a decent time. So that's the way it is with a quarter system. Right? I think the semester system is kind of like a 400-meter runner. So I was a 400-meter runner, and I love the 400-meter race. Why? Because if I messed up in the first 100, I can catch them on the second 100. By the time I come to that second curve, which is like the 300, and then I'm running that last straightaway, that last 100, I can make up for that. That's what a semester reminds me of when you're in a doctoral program. But a quarter, you mess up that first, you done, right? And so of course you got time to make it up. We've seen it even in the 2020 Olympics trials, right? We've seen a young lady, she wasn't the fastest out of the blocks, but she ended up winning the race. How did she win the race? Because she made up for it. So for those of you who may be behind in a quarter system right now, don't fret, you can still catch up. Just don't let it happen again. Nevertheless, let's move forward. So summer quarter, how did that go for me? It went different. The reason I say it was different is because for me, I guess I was used to meeting every week with the professor, and then during summer you meet maybe 2 or 3 times, and we're doing asynchronous because, again, why? We're in a pandemic, so we do asynchronous. And so I wasn't quite used to only meeting a few times during the class, but it worked out well. I was able to complete all the work, turn in all the assignments. I was able to understand different frameworks. One of the things that I got a chance to learn about, which is going to help me in my doctoral studies, was I learned about organizational resiliency. And so here's a tip that I would give you all. There are going to be things that you study in your doctoral program that you're like, all right, this does not apply to me. I'm not saying don't use it. You want to use it. Like one of the things we talked about was social network. Social network. That was one of the things that we had discussed in class, and we had a book on it. We had to write papers on it, etc. Now, that particular framework may not align, or theory may not align to what I want to do, but it's still good information to know. It's still good information to have. It helped me understand how things interconnect, how things are related, how social capital, social connections, etc., even impact our educational system. All right, so it helped me out in quite a few ways. But like I said, the one thing that helped me out was learning about organizational resiliency, because I'm writing about leadership and how it impacts students who experience foster care in the programs, the campus-based programs that they're in. So organizational resiliency, which is how we talk about resiliency for foster youth, but we never talk about organizations. Why is it that some organizations can make it and some are unable to, right? So even during this pandemic, think about it, right? There are going to be a lot of studies about organizational resiliency from a pandemic standpoint. Why? Because there's some businesses that were able to thrive and some that weren't. Now, I'm not talking about the big chain ones such as the Walmart and Target. I'm talking about some of these small mom and pop shops. How were they able to stay afloat while other mom and pop shops had to close down? All right, so when we think about that from educational leadership, does leadership impact organizational resiliency? If so, how? All right, those are questions that I when I learned about it, I said, I gotta make sure I add this into my literature review. So I added on to my literature review, found more areas where I can, tie leadership into it. But overall, summer was pretty good. But I will say this is advice I'm going to work on for next summer, is that I was not on my routine the way I need to be, because it was summer, you're in a pandemic. I was not on my. Some days I was waking up at my scheduled 4:30 time. Some days I was not. and it just wasn't good. And so next year I'm going to prepare myself a lot better, because now I know what to expect. This is my first time in a quarter system for the summer, and I didn't know what to expect. But now I do know what to expect next summer, and I look forward to making adjustments. Here's some advice that I would provide for you. You know, really have an understanding that summer is not something that you should, summer, a lot of people, we go on vacations, right? That's the time for us to relax, right? A lot of us, especially those who work in education, that's definitely time for us to relax, take a break from all the fast-paced work that we do. But I would say that if I had to do it all over again, one of the things that I would do differently is I would stick to my routine. And I've talked about this in other videos, the importance of a routine. It's crucial to have a routine and to stick with it, even in the summertime. So I had a chance to travel to Cartagena, Colombia. Now, Cartagena, Colombia is 2 hours ahead of California. Worked out great for me. The reason why it worked out great for me is because when it's 6 o'clock here, it's 4 o'clock in, when it's 6 o'clock there, it's 4 o'clock in California. So I was able to stay with my schedule. So when I was waking up at 6 o'clock there, it was still my 4 a.m. Wake up, or if I woke up at 6:30, it's still my 4:30 a.m. time I wake up here. So even on vacation, people say, yeah, but you should be able to relax. Well, because I trained myself to be on a routine, me waking up at that time, it feels good. And get this, when I didn't wake up at that time, I felt terrible. So terrible that it impacted my day. Like, I was like, man, like, I didn't feel good, right? Because it's something about me waking up at 4:30 and getting more accomplished before 7 a.m. than most people would do in their whole entire day. Like, that made me feel good. Like, it was a win. But when I didn't do those things, because I was like, oh, it's summer, I'm just going to sleep in. And mind you, sleeping in to me is 6:30. So I would feel terrible. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel great, anything like that. So I recommend making sure that you're on your routine, even during the summer. Ensuring that you're taking some of the concepts that you're learning during summer and seeing how you can apply it to your literature review if you have already began your literature review in your program. So that's what worked for me. I added some of the concepts that we learned in summer school to my literature review, and that's also going to help me with my first milestone. Now, I haven't mentioned this in other videos, and I don't want to mention it now because I'm going to go over it later, but there are milestones in most programs. In my program, there are 3 milestones that we have to complete. And so other programs may have different milestones that students must meet, doctoral students must meet before they're able to progress to the next section of the doctoral program. So make sure that you know those things so that you can stay focused on the goal and stay in your routine. And understand that when you break your routine, it impacts even your mental health and your well-being. So it did impact my mental health, and it impacted the way I thought about my day, so it was just a little different. But I hope that next summer, I know that next summer I will make sure I'm on my routine, that I'm continuously taking the concepts and theories that I'm learning and applying them to hopefully my next milestone, and making sure that I'm able to understand them thoroughly. And that is one thing that summer did. Now, because we weren't meeting every week, summer allowed me more time to take my time learning these theories, learning these frameworks, and learning concepts. That's what I loved about summer. I was able to learn these things at a pace where it was like, okay, on to the next, right? So that hurt. One of the things we learned about too is improvement science. Oh, I love improvement science, right? You use the fishbone method and things like that. It was like a light bulb went off on me, because my professor had us read a book in the fall quarter. And I didn't understand why we were reading that book. I was like, why are we reading this book? And then when summer came, I said, oh, that's why we're reading this book, because it connects with this particular framework that we're learning about now, or, concepts. It made a lot of sense. It all came together in the end. But I did like the fact that I was able to take my time during summer school to learn and really understand some of these different frameworks that I could potentially use in my dissertation, and some of the theories that I could potentially propose to explain leadership and the impacts that it have on campus-based programs that support students who have experienced foster care. that's all I got for you. I hope that it's something that you're able to use and apply to your own program, to your own doctoral studies. Again, stick to your routine during the summer. Try to take some of the concepts, theories, and frameworks that you're learning in the summer. If it seems like it's downtime, don't let that get to you. Instead, take that extra time to thoroughly investigate and understand these particular theories, concepts, and frameworks. All right, so it's me, Sade Burrell. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share this with other people. I truly appreciate it. We just want to help other doctoral students or people who might be thinking about going to a doctoral program. So it's me, Sade Burrell. Stand for something. Y'all have a great one.